REMC, Judy is obviously the REMC director of REMC 20, which is a regional REMC, but REMC Association is a statewide organization. And one, I don't know people's history, so I'm going to give a little history. I've just learned it helps frame things for when I go into the projects I'm going to look at. So REMC Association services all of Michigan educators. So it doesn't matter where you're from. So the local REMCs, in Judy's case, REMC 20 offers services, but then REMC Association offers things above and beyond that. So one of our big things is REMC Save, which is the cooperative save bid that a lot of 95% of our districts use. But then we turn around and we get some funds from that, and we create both free professional learning and free classroom resources. Our classroom resources, we didn't have very many pre-COVID, but post-COVID, we have a whole plethora of new items. So I'm going to talk about three of those items today. And I'm able to share my screen, correct? Because I'm going to just go there to, all right, awesome. So all three of the items I talk about, if you're on our website, remc.org, are under the educator resources. If you haven't seen our website in a while, we did a complete reorganization and some renaming in December, so it may have changed a little bit. But I'm going to start with one of our newer ones, and that's the cybersecurity. This project is very interesting. So at REMC Association, we know people don't want more work, so we don't do work groups. We do what are called visioning groups, where we bring people together to have a vision and then have other people do the work. Cybersecurity visioning group came together, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the page to show you this, but it involved people from a lot of organizations, even beyond REMC. So the bottom of the page, you see a whole bunch of people from different organizations. We even have a rep from SETSAG who has joined us in this work. And now his name's not on there, but we're working with Matt McMahon with MySecure to see how we can work with them to fill gaps that they have or help with their capacity. But we have consulting time that we've used for this project, where we've brought in other people who are more expert than us and utilize the knowledge base of the people in the team to say, what do schools really need around cybersecurity to help them right now? If you look at that list, you'll notice one of our reps is actually a person from Jackson ISD, and anybody who read in the news last year knows kind of what happened to Jackson ISD, where their whole county ended up shut down for 3 days because of a cybersecurity attack on the countywide servers that affected all the schools. So our big key question here is, how can we help schools? Because if they just do a general search, they're overwhelmed. If they contact their insurance company, they're getting a very small, a piece of what they might need to know. So this resource center was born out of that. So what is this and how is it useful to schools? Well, the very first thing at the top is we've put together a start guide. The start guide is built for school leaders. This can be IT, administrators, anybody. And it's like, if you don't go anywhere else, these are sites that you would want to go to. There's 3 sections to it. There's a building understanding section, a finding resources and support and information section, and then assistance for a cyber incident. The third section was not there originally. We did add it because we had some schools actually come back and say, well, we've had an event, what do we need to do? So that's why the third section was added. So this document is just about, I'm in a panic mode. I don't know where else to go, or else we're just starting out. Where can I start? And this document goes into play. So this is on our website. And I don't know if Judy has shared before, everything on our website is a Creative Commons license. So it is completely free for everybody to use. There is no paywall. There is also no login. So you can share this with anybody. But likewise, all of our documents, I'm checking, this one does not have it on it because it's brand new and I got to add it. All of our documents are also Creative Commons licensed. So you can take them. You could take this document if you want to use it in district. You need to say it's from REMC. And once I get the logo, the license on it, keep the license. But you can even take off our cybersecurity logo and put on your school district logo. Everything is for you to use however you want. So this was one resource that came out of that group. Another resource is this list of cards. This is just a cybersecurity resource list. It's set up so people can search it, and all these filters can work together or individually. You can select by provider. So if you're looking for state of Michigan resources, the Department of, actually we have two departments from Michigan in there. You can search that way. You can search by audience. I'm looking for stuff for administrators, or I'm looking for stuff that's for students, or I'm looking for stuff that's teacher focused. There also are some standard kind of keywords around cybersecurity that we have aligned all these resources to, so it's searchable by those as well. And then cost, so that it's either they cost or they're free, or they may vary, because some of them have different levels of cost. They might start at one level, have costs beyond that. And each of these cards, if you find one that, like the My Secure website, that's one of our first ones, when you click on it, it does a pop-up and it has a link to the website of that resource, and it always has a short description of what it's about or what you might find there. So some of these have professional learning, some of them have information about threats and what to do. Some of them have like tools or toolkits that you can use for your school. So there's a wide range of resources here. Why did this get created? Because the group said if you do a general search, whatever your search engine for cybersecurity, the questions schools are asking are, one, is it appropriate for schools? Because not all those things out there are appropriate for schools. Two, is it a quality one? And three, is it fit for Michigan? So anything on here answers yes to all three of those things, that these are sites that are endorsed by some of those organizations that were a part of this group, that they are appropriate for schools, and they are appropriate specifically for Michigan schools. Right now, there's 120 courses on that will grow a little bit, but we really want to keep it focused on not being overwhelming, to give some people some good resources that they can get to. So that is the second piece that is currently on the site. I say currently because even though it's not very far away, a couple other things are going to go on the site in the next couple weeks prior to McCall. The group has been, excuse me, to the McCall conference. The group has been going through some draft iterations of some additional pieces. One of them that is going to go on here, and I'm going to show it to you, but it is not public yet. So you're going to see something that is not out there yet. And I'm thinking the best way to find it. Hold on just a second while I get it. I think he put it in here. It is not in here. Okay. I'm gonna have to think where that is. It's a, apologize. You're gonna see my messy inbox because I've been traveling all day, but we are going to find this to show you because it's worth showing. The problem with having things in drafts, so they're not where they are going to end up, so you can't find them. Here we go. All right. It is a glossary slide deck, because the other thing that people talked about in this group that is useful, and this is really especially for the end user of teachers and students, is it would be nice to have something that used everyday language, not a bunch of techie language, to explain terms around cybersecurity and have it in a way that it's very usable. So this is a slide deck that is going to go on that same website that everybody will have access to. The terms are broken up into three areas: terms to know, prevention pieces, and then tools. And this is interactive. So I can actually like go to terms to know, and there's the terms to know. Let's say I want to know what a data breach is, I can do that. So it's an interactive slide deck that somebody can copy, or it's something, yeah, sorry, you can see it's in draft mode. We're still wrapping up some of the finer details. but it is something that a teacher could take and print out a slide, or um, your tech integration specialist or tech consultants could take out and print, or administrators. So I could print out slides if I were a computer teacher and computer education teacher and put them on my wall or rotate through them. So this could be used in print form or electronically to help people um, learn more about cybersecurity. And one of the reasons we also went with this is we know from research that people they retain that more. So the idea of this was having it where people could read it and then subconsciously or not or consciously they would remember, what those things were. So that's one of the reasons we developed this. The other is research shows that if there's a narrative with it, people are more apt to remember it. So every time you see our terms here, you'll notice not only the term and the definition, there's a dotted box over on the side that has an example, kind of a narrative example to try and explain it. So that's how they were designed, very deliberately. And again, these will be Creative Commons licensed up on our website, so people can take them and pull out from them and use them however they would like. So that is another piece that we will have there. The other piece that will be up before the conference on that website, and these items will be towards the top, is some pre-created social media pieces or like email signature pieces. So just little short snippets that people can take, they can share out on social media, or they can put in their signature lines, or let's say I'm a tech director in a school and I'm pushing things for a month on cybersecurity, I can take those and I could just blast them out, email short little snippet pieces to my staff periodically. So those are a couple of the other resources that you will see on the page in the very near future. All right, any questions about any of that? Yeah, open to questions anytime. Useful, not useful? What do people think? Because we're still getting feedback. This is all so new.
I really like that it's you had talked about because we can when I say we, I say the techies can sometimes use almost like a different language sometimes. And this is obviously a big thing that's happening right now, especially when you think about AI and data privacy and everything like that. And districts, like I just came from a district, Plymouth Canton, where they actually hired a full-time cybersecurity person. So this is happening in certain districts, and so I very much appreciate kind of the language around that.
Thank you.
And I'm going to echo what Matt said too. I love how you, because I obviously have seen some of this for the first time tonight too, but I love how you're developing materials for the different roles that people serve in the district.
So that is something we are trying to be very deliberate, especially as we're working with these other organizations who maybe hit other levels. Where the gaps that we can kind of fill in and filter to. So it's good to hear that that's kind of coming out from these resources. If you happen to be at the McCall conference and you stop by the REMC booth, you might ask, I don't know how long they'll last. Another thing that we have that is going to be at the conference is we've taken those same terms that are on the slide and we've created some bookmarks, like standard size bookmarks, and they're in sets. If you stop by and ask, you can get a set of bookmarks that have these same terms on them, along with the narrative that you can pass out or give to teachers or students. So but you'll have to ask for them. We're telling people you got to ask for them because we only have 100 of them being printed, 100 sets. So they will be around there. All right. Oh, thank you for that, Melody. So yes, I'm taking this feedback. We have a meeting coming up. So this feedback will be going back to that group as we are kind of tying up these pieces that are just finally coming out of draft. I think next I'm going to talk about TSCS. Um, because I don't know how long we have, but if we run out of time, Judy, I have my presentation from today on Power Up, which I can give to you if need be, if we run out of time. So we'll go to TSCS next. And that totally is an acronym because this is totally a tech support piece, technical support essential skills. This was created again coming out of COVID. We had a lot of educators, specifically in the tech arena, saying we're having huge turnover of our level one techs or people who have traditionally served in that role, like maybe media specialists, librarians, or parapros are leaving education. Turnover, we don't have people who are providing that like on the ground initial support with tech support. So this was created out of that ask. There are currently, I'm going to tell you, 3 2/3 on there. The professional communication isn't quite done, but we have in play altogether, we are going to have 8 or 9 different categories here, different topics. So what this is basically professional learning that is on the site that you can take and use personally, or you can take and use with the team, or you can give it to somebody who needs help. They are all set up the same. So when I go to basic networking, you'll see it opens up a further menu with subtopics, and some of those even have topics below. So when I click on structured cabling, you'll see there's even some subtopics below that. But even at this structured cabling level, so at the top, there's some basic information about it. After that, there are terms to know. Now, what's interesting, one piece of feedback we've been given is, well, it'd be nice to know the definitions for the terms. But the idea is you're learning from this. So our pushback is you can go search for the terms. So if people don't know them, if they search the terms and look them up themselves, they're going to be more likely to remember them than if we just provide a definition that they kind of gloss through, kind of glazed eyes over. So the definitions are not provided in the terms to know. However, most of them you can find in the information, which is the core of each of these mini lessons, I'll call them. So this is very text heavy because graphs, sometimes there are some tables, maybe a couple pictures, but it is text and tech heavy. So that's something to know going in. So this first section is what is basics, what is structured cabling. It talks about the basic structure, why it's important. If there are any additional resources might be found, usually they're videos that go along with the text that might help somebody who needs that visual support. And then always at the end, there is a task or a self-assessment, and these are all designed for the person who's in the job. So you'll notice this one says, go take a picture of one of the patch panels you will be working with and label the components. So it's designed so that people who are providing that tech support in learning about this are actually doing tasks that will help them better understand their own situation in their own district better or prepare for work in there. That's how every single one of these are set up. If I go farther down, they just nest within each other, so you can go as wide or as narrow as you want. Right now, you'll notice we have basic networking, and then we have cybersecurity essentials. This is more tech focused. That other web page I showed you is more slated towards administrators and teachers and students. This one is more the tech side of it. And then there's professional communication. That one we're just getting wrapped up on here. We've had some issues with it, so we're trying to get it finalized. And then also service model basics. So to help people get ready for a help desk situation that they might be involved in using, and kind of the process in their district for handling help tickets or requests for help. Other pieces, device management is one of our other ones. I'd have to go look, but we have outside consultants who are kind of putting, not kind of, they're putting this together. that comes to us for proofreading, and then it ends up here on our website. But altogether, like I said, we're going to end up with 8 to 10. So I'm guessing about 9 different topics on here to help support people at that level 1 tech. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, thumbs up, useful, not useful? I saw one in the comment. Somebody said in the comment, yes, useful. That's good to know. All right. So the third project I was going to showcase was Power Up Teaching and Learning. So we're going to take a deep dive away from the tech side to this is the teacher side. And that came out of COVID was we had people coming to us saying, all our teachers have this technology now because they needed it for the pandemic. How do we help them be more effective with it? And that's where Power Up Teaching and Learning was conceptualized, and then it developed into what it is now. So this took, and you'll notice there's 5 different topics there, 5 areas that technology can be used to help teachers be either more efficient or just be better at their job in different ways, like in communication, more timely, more efficient, even maybe, well, with content and curriculum, maybe even reevaluating what they're using in their classroom with students. So these resources are set up a little bit differently than actually all 3 of the projects you've seen show kind of the how REMC is branching all over the place now because they're all very different. These resources are developed for 2 different audiences. One would be providers of professional development. So often curriculum directors, principals, maybe people who are running PLCs, that type of person, or just people who are seeking professional development, teachers who are new to education or teachers who are looking how to use educational technology in a more efficient way or in new ways. When you go into any of these topics, what we've done here is we've tiered the resources a little bit. So there's 3 different levels. This first level, what we call professional learning activities, those are really out of the box activities for professional learning. They are ready for someone to use with maybe 10 to 15 minutes of prep. So I don't know about you guys, but I knew different people over my long time in education who had an oh no moment where I have a PD that I need to teach this afternoon. I'm totally not ready for it. It can be that, or it can be, I don't know where to start with this topic. Yeah, I think it's important and I wanted to run it with my staff. So these are set up in the 5E, using the 5E inquiry model. They have a guiding question. In this case, how do I begin curriculum? Resources to read. You'll notice these are set up how our directions are for them. Everything in the green box they would read, and then they would pick 2 more from the other 4 to kind of learn new information to use for the activities. There would be a meeting, and then Padlet is what we have, but something to reflect and practice in the concepts that were learned about. A discussion. So that would be the whole explain and kind of really diving in and interacting with the learning, and then creating some type of deliverable for each one and applying their learning. How is it going to impact their classroom or their practice? And then also evaluation, because we know from research too, when people self-evaluate, it helps them. So why am I sharing it with this group? I am guessing all of you probably work with administrators, and this might be something we're showing them if they are struggling with some of these areas. And how do I find professional learning around these areas? Or I want to incorporate more of that. These are the easiest level. Like I said, out of the box, we even provide a facilitator's guide that has some introductory information, but then when you get to page 3 is basically a checklist. If you take one of those that I just showed you in this checklist, it checks you off preparing and being totally ready. If you remember earlier, I said everything's Creative Commons licensed. So it even reminds and gives the opportunity to modify the guiding question or modify the resources used or, modify what tools used for it. So it even reminds people that they can make those modifications. It also, at the end, if people like these, provides a link to all 15 that we have because we have 3 for each of those topic areas. There's 15 of those types of documents. And then we also have links to all the Padlets. So if people don't know, they can copy a Padlet. We have pre-created a template Padlet for each of these. If that's the route the person running the PD wants to do, they can just go to our Padlet, make a copy of it and use it, or they can use a completely different tool, completely up to them. But like I said, these are out of the box designed so somebody can take and run with them with minimal amount of time invested in prepping. The next level is what we call a guidebook. So these same topics, same driving questions as those out of the box. But when you get down to it, they're designed more for integration purposes into existing PD or for pulling just pieces out. So everyone has 3 modules, and each module even has 3 subsections. So it can be as little or as big as somebody wants. There are driving questions that drive the topic and the focus of the webinars and presentations. We have pre-created recordings and slide decks that are available, or people can use their own, either way. We even break those down so you can have the specific parts that tie to each subsection. So those are there available that way. But one of the things people find, oh, and we also provide a thinking protocol. So even if you use nothing else on this topic, there are thinking protocols in here that can be used with anything. So those are available too. So one of the things I like to show people on this is actually that's all the same for all 3 modules. But then when you get towards the bottom, we actually have ideas for ways this might be used. So if you have newer principals who are struggling with PD in different ways, I can set it up or use it. Each of these 5 different guidebooks provides 10 to 15 ideas for how this content could be used in different types of PD. You'll notice some range from a couple weeks all the way down to, and they laugh because the one makes me laugh every time, like a flip forum that's a few minutes long, to, I'm sure it's on this one, the PD on the potty. So printing out pieces and putting on the back of the doors of stalls. People can learn why they're going, I guess. So all kinds of ideas for how to use it. And that is always at the end. The table of contents on all of these, and I apologize if you get motion sickness, I'm going to flick right back up at the top, are interactive. So if someone wants to go right to that, that's right there at the bottom so they can pop down to that area. So that is the guidebook. Kind of that intermediary. We provide the resources. There's a lot of content still, but it's still there pretty much for people in its complete state. The third thing we provide, and we provide others of these as well for different topics, but is what we call a toolkit. What a toolkit is a resource that provides guiding questions, suggested resources that can be used if you're addressing those guiding questions. And then in the case of these, some integrated technology connections so that people can see how these pieces fit together. So this would be somebody who's basically doing their PD from scratch or doing a part of their PD from scratch. It gives them resources to start with so they don't need to go out there and search for these things. So that is the toolkit that goes along. The toolkit also, it's going to be faster, go up here, has a link to all the protocols and routines, those thinking protocols that can be used in any PD, not just this PD. So a lot of these come from Harvard and a couple other organizations or schools that from their teacher colleges. So they're good practices. Okay, that information in about 35 minutes. What questions do you have? What thoughts, comments, anything you'd like to share, or are there other things you'd like to see?
I was going to say, I wish I had known about this Power Up Learning a long, I mean, I don't know how long it's been out there, but this would have
Two,
been,
2 year, 2.5 years. It's only been
yeah.
there 2.5 years.
So, I mean, being an integration specialist in Plymouth Canton, I had created a lot of these different things and a lot of these, had set up and I always tell people, try and do as much research as possible because most things have been already created and then you can just kind of put your little spin on them. But yeah, this is really, really great. So thank you and kudos to you all that have created this because I think this can help a lot of people. So
So Melinda, I have a question. I know you're
Yes.
getting positive feedback in the chat that hopefully you're reading, but
I just pulled it up. Yes. Thank you to Liz and Melody. I just saw those.
so moving forward,
Mhm.
what is the plan for keeping this information updated?
So we have made a commitment as long as we have the capacity, which I mean, hopefully it never goes away. All of these items will be revisited at least once a year. Minimally, so there are no broken links or links that go to sites that no longer exist, which we hope and most of the ones we have there shouldn't, but still, so all the links are checked. So if there's updated information, you'll actually notice in Power Up how I said it's only, excuse me, been around for 2.5 years. We actually did a major revision December into January of this year. So most of the documents say revised in January 24. So these things will be looked at least one time a year to ensure that we're not getting stuff that's falling off. If it's felt like they're no longer needed or else they're too outdated to update, because some things do age and need to age out. They will actually move into REMC's old, I think it's called old projects area and off the main page. So they're still there if people are using the links or need to reference them, but they won't be on our main page anymore.